Yo, what is up guys, it's Chillfeed here and there's no introduction needed. You know what it is about, and if you don't, you should go back and watch part 1 first for some more amazing and some not so amazing new legendaries. Leave a like if you enjoyed part 1 already, and let's get straight into it with the first weapon of part 2 of all 20 new legendary DLC weapons from Guns, Love and Tentacles, which will be the most powerful and fun shotgun in all of Borderlands 3 right now, the Anarchy. This TDR shotgun pays homage to the fan favorite Gage from Borderlands 2 and her skill with the same name, and this is another reason why we need more playable characters added in the future. Please Gearbox, at least consider it, just so we can enjoy amazing weapons and references like the Anarchy in the next Borderlands game. The weapon functions kinda similarly to the skill from Borderlands 2, whereas you will gain a stack of Anarchy for 30% bonus gun damage and reduced accuracy for every kill or automatic reload, and since this can stack up to 10 times, you will potentially have a damage bonus of 300% as long as you don't die or reload accidentally, making this the only TDR shotgun that can actually kill stuff more than consistently without the need to throw it at your enemies. If you do throw it at them though, you can shoot the thrown weapon if it doesn't hit your enemies directly, dealing splash damage in whatever type of element your Anarchy comes with in a huge splash radius. Much like Anarchy in Borderlands 2, you sometimes don't even have to aim at your enemies directly, as the projectiles will just ricochet towards them if you miss. It's a lot of fun to use, it looks amazing, can come with any of the elements, and is also a world drop within the new DLC area. Check out my farming guide if you want to know the fastest way to get it, because there's no reason not to get it.
Opening up. Daisy. Feeling good.
Now, from the best TDR weapon from the DLC to the worst TDR weapon that has been added, and maybe even the worst in general, the Flama Diddle. At least it was when I was using it on most, with my build centered entirely around incendiary and splash damage, and I wasn't even able to kill the 3 turret dudes before they opened the gate themselves. It shoots a bunch of projectiles that do little to no damage, but I guess they ricochet once when they hit surfaces, so that's good. And when you throw the weapon, it will shoot at your enemies, run towards them and then explode if you can't hit them directly, and this also doesn't do much damage. So yeah, high ammo consumption as usual for TDR weapons, low and always incendiary damage, and also a world drop. Please let me know if I'm missing something here, or if you had the same results as I had with this thing.
My power level is spiking.
Yesterday I already covered 2 of the new Jacob sniper rifles, and I have to say that the cocky bastard I will cover now is my least favorite of the 3. Of course, you can have a lot of one-shot potential with it once you do proc your Guardian rank overkill perk, but it takes a little bit longer to get there, and you are almost forced to switch to another weapon if you do manage to go down somehow. However, the special ability of this weapon makes it a little bit more useful against shielded enemies, because whenever you land a critical hit, it seems to get double the damage as shock damage, and yeah, that's pretty much all I can think of about this weapon right now. It's definitely a solid sniper rifle, definitely not the best, and right now the only way to get it, I believe, is from chests in the DLC area, just like the Skullmasher. But I believe this is not intended, and Gearbox is working to fix that, so make sure to always open the loot chest for now for a chance to get the Skullmasher or the cocky bastard. Not quite as good as the other 2 COV weapons I covered yesterday, but definitely a solid option, as another incendiary only assault rifle is the Stauros Burn. And if there was one thing I would say makes this weapon just solid and not great, is how fast the weapon overheats and the long animation of cooling it down. I think what Gearbox was trying to accomplish by that becomes clear when you know what the special ability of this awesome looking piece of literal junk is, and that is the chance on break to combust, which will guarantee critical hits, increases its fire damage and lowers shot cost. The downside to this effect is that it seems to have a very low chance to activate, and when it does activate, you also take damage to yourself, much like the Pain is Power or Embrace the Pain, but the amount of damage you can deal once it does activate can be amazing. If it doesn't though, the weapon in my opinion is just decent and nothing too crazy. Good thing is that it is easy to obtain since it is a dedicated drop from the Wendigo, who will always spawn in the Canker Woods once you finish the mission Horror in the Woods.
You won't.
The only thing I have to say about the Frozen Devil is that you should much rather farm the COV cryo counterpart Hydrafrost from this DLC than this weakling of a weapon from Malivan. What makes this pistol quote unquote special is the ability to shoot ice spikes instead of a cryo laser, but both of them deal little to no damage at all and might only be there for a high chance at freezing your enemy and to act as a support weapon maybe. Thing is, there are much better options than the Frozen Devil, even as just a support weapon, if that's even a thing. And just look at the damage comparison between the Frozen Devil and the Hydrafrost. I guess a good thing is that it's easier to obtain from the Hunt Challenge Kukuva Jack in Nigul Nishai. And maybe that the ammo consumption is better than the one on the Hydrafrost, but you get the point, just use something else. Imagine if the Becker and the Lob somehow had a baby. The Shocker would probably be the result of that. Just maybe a little bit worse than both of its parents. This Maliwan shotgun has a slightly slower fire rate than the Lob and shoots a slightly smaller orb, but this orb splits into 3 orbs in total much faster than the Becker does, making it possible to deal huge amounts of damage if you manage to hit all 3 of them on your target. And even if the damage is not quite as huge as the Lob's damage, in my opinion it is a lot more fun to use and actually requires some positioning, and there is even somewhat of a learning curve. Shockingly enough, the Shocker will always have the shock element and has the chance to drop from the rare enemy Voltborn right here in Nigul Nishai, and I still don't know how to pronounce that. Anyway, just enter the area and keep an eye out for a green portal that pops up right here, and then kill Voltborn for a chance at the Shocker.
Nope.
Next up is a revolver with a name that sounds more like the name of a modern day rapper, the Little Yeeti, and it might almost be as bad as some of those rappers if you can't land critical hits consistently. And let me tell you, it's not often that you are able to land them consistently, because the weapon cannot hold too many rounds, only 4 in my case actually, and the projectile speed for a revolver is painfully slow, making it hard to hit any target that is not in a standstill. If you do manage to hit them though, this revolver can actually deal some pretty hefty damage and even has the chance to knock back your opponents, but obviously this won't work against most bosses I tested this on. In my opinion, this is a somewhat underwhelming non-elemental gun just due to the slow projectiles and the amount of times you have to spend reloading with it, but if you do want to get one yourself, fast travel to the Cankerwoods right next to the Skidmore base and exit. Take the exit and after just a few meters turn right into the arena of Yeeti, who is the only mini-boss challenge who has a chance to drop the Little Yeeti. Maybe the Insider was named that way because you literally have to be inside your enemy's fort to deal consistent damage. Well, at least you have to be very close to them. And to be honest, I haven't quite made my mind up yet about whether I like this Maliwan shotgun or not, but I can tell you and show you how inconsistent the projectiles this thing shoots are, making this weapon not the most reliable one. The best thing about it is that it has no charge up time at all and the projectiles can pierce through your enemies, although this effect is not too practical since it is pretty rare that 2 or more enemies are lined up and very close together. there are just 2 more things you need to know about it. And this is that this weapon is a world drop and that it can come in any element. And maybe just one more last thing, that it will drop a lot while just playing the game, so you might as well give it a try for yourself.
Pretty cool, right?
Another revolver that is held back only due to its slow projectile speed, although still much better than the little Yeeti, is the 7th Sense, which you can get as a side quest reward from Burton called Closed Case, Forgotten Answers in Curse Haven. And even though the revolver itself is limited to the cryo element, it might even be the better option between it and the Queen's or King's Call as a Jacob's revolver. And I do mention these guns because they both share similar effects. However, the 7th Sense doesn't require you to hit criticals with it in order to spawn multiple projectiles into the air that will then hit the original target after you reload for devastating damage. It can also hold a lot more rounds than the King's or Queen's Call, but like I said, a big downside for this weapon is the slow projectile speed, and it also won't return 1 ammo into your magazine for every crit. When you do land your shots though, and especially those sweet critical hits, the damage output is insanely high, and not just from the many projectiles after a reload, but from the weapon itself too. It would be my favorite gun from the entire DLC if the projectiles just weren't as slow as they are, but nevertheless, it's a must get for anyone that owns the DLC. Last but not least of all the 20 new legendary weapons, the Nothingness is Maliwan's version of an elemental flakka shotgun, and I think this thing might be the better version than what the flakka was pre-nerf. Although I would say it can feel underwhelming at first and has a bit of a learning curve to it. Other than the flakka, the Nothingness has an initial projectile that can hit your enemies before the firework-like explosions go off, and they will always go off after a set distance or at the point where your initial projectile hits the surface. And there are some amazing interactions going on with skills like Indiscriminate from Amara, where all of the explosions have a chance to ricochet towards nearby enemies, and most skills Short Fuse can trigger even more explosions on your enemy with this weapon's special effects going off. I'm gonna be honest, I was not the biggest fan of using it, but it is definitely a good weapon to use, and it's easy to get from Morg or Gmorg or whatever it is, who is one of the hunt challenges, so he will spawn right here every single time in the Cankerwoods. And with that being said, that was it from me for today. I hope this video was helpful for you, and if it was, why not just take a second of your time and leave a like and maybe even subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys in my next video.
Would you like some shield?
Results input.